Hello, I'm Zach Thompson.
Hello, my name is Jack Frimpston, and welcome to another episode of Trench Tips.
Pitch.
Pitch. So, let's talk about the pitch bit. We spoke about pattern interrupts. You've got your 30 seconds. People are wanting to talk to you.
Yeah.
So how do you lay it down? I'm guessing when we do a pitch, you want to tell them about the awards we've won, the features and benefits, why we named our office dog Jeremy the Third, all of those good things.
Jeremy the Third. Jeremy Beagle.
You've been framed.
So pitch is an interesting one. And we have a lot of discovery calls where I'll lay this out to people in front of them. So what I normally look for when I'm talking to a new client is, what problem does someone need to be having that makes it worthwhile having a conversation with you? And they'll list the pretty generic stuff out, right? They'll say like, oh, there's risk, there's cost, there's time. Yeah. Okay, but what's the impact of that not happening? And then they give you the good stuff. How do they notice that's not happening in the business? What does that look like? And that is the pitch. Well, typically there's no operational efficiency. They're running around trying to find people, trying to recruit talent in. They're really struggling because there's been freezes with budgets this year. How do they make that budget work harder? That's the stuff.
Yeah.
So really, I'll ask you the question, Jack. I know you know the answer, and I ask it to everyone. When I cold call one of our prospects, one of our clients' prospects, and the person says, go on, you can have your 30 seconds, what's their favourite subject?
They like to talk about themselves.
They like to talk about themselves. They don't care about us yet.
No.
Our case studies, our name, nothing. They don't care about anything about us. But they do care about those problems they might be facing. So, talking to you, I might say, well, Jack, I'm typically invited in by ambitious businesses who are a bit worried when it comes to the new business side of things. They feel like they're not getting enough meetings in the diary. Maybe they are getting meetings in the diary, but they're just not meeting the right types of people and the sales cycle feels a bit long. Or maybe there's an area or a sector they've always wanted to break into and they're not sure how. As a result, they're not growing the way they thought they would. I've got a feeling this is where you tell me that business is booming, you couldn't take on another new client even if you wanted to.
Brilliant. And then I jump in and I'll probably say something like, no, that's not true. I can always deal with new clients. I think that end bit there is a brilliant one to talk about. So you're probably going to tell me that you've already, especially when it comes to clients, we talk about this all the time. If there's a common objection, if you're a recruiter, for example, so you lay it out and then you say, but you're probably going to tell me that you're not hiring at the moment or you're already working with a recruiter that's 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Whatever. Beat them to it. And then they'll defend it and they'll get to that bit first. So it's like, you don't want to get into it. Like, if you're getting onto every call and say, you're probably going to tell me none of those problems exist, and everyone's saying, oh, we've already working with a sales agency, get there before them.
Yeah.
Like, beat them to it. Always with objections.
Yeah, exactly. Get there first, front load your objections, and go for no. Go for no. The amygdala, which is the...
I've always wanted to say that word.
Amygdala, which deals with your emotions in your brain, is wired for negative information. If you've read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss, he talks about this a lot. Lots of other psychology books that are all rooted around how the amygdala responds to information. If I go in and say, here's my 3 problems, which one most applies to you? It feels like...
someone's trying to grab your wallet or something.
It's that kind of like, oh, right, you're trying to sell me something. And persuasion has a really weird response, human bias, called reactance. When I start trying to persuade you and you feel like I am, you will react in the complete opposite way.
Yeah.
So when I start trying to push you, you'll, oh, no, I'm not, I'm all right, I'm not interested. Yeah? So instead, I'm giving the problems with one hand, I'm saying, but they probably don't apply to you. And you're like, whoa, hold on a second.
Don't take them away
what did you have there? What did you have there? Let me have a look at your wares. What did you have? So that's how you build the pitch, and that's the way to frame it. The real magic is those 3 problems, how do they actually sound in my prospect's world? And there's a few ways you can do that. You can sit down and think about that with your client, but probably the best way to do it, sit down and do it with your prospect, and try it out. Probably the best way to do it is, if if you've got a client on board who really loves you, say, I couldn't just grab you for like 10 minutes, could I? Why do you use us? What do you like about it? What problem are you trying to solve? The language they use will be very different than the language you're using in your marketing material. And it'll be very cute. You'll be amazed how human it is. I've got calls. I posted one before on LinkedIn where I spoke to this guy and I got him to a point where it was like, well, what would motivate you to change then to even look into this? And he said, well, working in a business that I'm growing that's busy, I've got young kids. I don't get to spend a lot of time on the weekend because I'm thinking about this. I've got my head in a spreadsheet. My marriage has just broken down. I want to get out there and meet a new potential partner, and just the time part is just taken away from me. And I'm not saying that you're going to say to everyone you probably want to spend more time with your kids is the problem, but what I'm saying is the way he spoke about it was very different than the marketing material that company were putting out there.
Yeah.
And then I spotted a trend. Everyone for that client had a very like human problem. So then the pitch needs to become much more human rather than like a technical pitch.
But marketeers fuck it up time and time again. You click on a website and you're like, what do you do?
Yeah, what is the...
I don't get it.
No. We're a open AI platform that solves problems around resourcing and bandwidth.
Buzzwords.
What?
Come on.
Yeah, what do you think the main problem is that people are struggling with bandwidth?
What does that mean?
What does it mean? Does it mean anything? Just give me more.
Get off the bandwidth.
So I don't know if you had anything to pitches that... Because I know there's ones where you've built a pitch or I've built a pitch and then day one we've had to come back and rejig it as well. So I don't know if you want to like talk about some of those.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes... So we've found that you've got two elements when it comes to pitch building. So you've got like the staple that we use, which is like ambitious, successful people, insert 3 problems here, and kind of lean towards the negative bias. Depends on the job role, depends on what it is. I find, especially working with e-commerce, I don't know what it is, but e-commerce founders, owners, they're very busy, probably get a lot of cold calls, a lot of people trying to say, get to it, be direct. So if you're pitching, and I know that people are saying you're 30 seconds, but if their personality are like, well, I just kind of want to get it straight away, just hit them with it.
Yeah.
Like, this is the problem that we solve, here's a bit of the impact. Like hit them with the biggest one, and then say, but you're probably going to tell me none of that. Well, no, tell me more. Okay. And then you can kind of float around a couple of different problems. Okay, well, out of bandwidth, time, effort, money, what one would you say exists most in your world? Well, okay, why did you choose that? And then you take them through that journey.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got to be a bit punchier sometimes.
Punchier, you don't want the outcome at the end of it to be, well, what do you do?
Yeah.
Or... We've already got that in place. You want to have front-loaded that somewhere where that question is answered. Otherwise, all your pitches are the same. And as soon as you start explaining stuff back, you lose.
Yeah.
There's never a point where someone says, what do you do? And you explain in detail what you do that doesn't end in send me an email.
Yeah.
It never ends in, well, I'll be honest, we're a cloud-based CRM. No one ever goes, oh my fucking God, you're a what? Hold on a second.
Margaret!
We found one! But pitching is really where the magic is, and I think we've got some good tricks and tips for that, so if anyone needs any help, has some money, don't worry about it. Cool. Where do you want to go next?
Can we talk about the ledge?
The ledge?
The ledge.
The heath.
The heath. The mighty ledge. I find that a lot of people can learn to say a pattern interrupt, but you say a pattern interrupt. If you're answered with anything rather than go on then, or yes, I work in sales, you can have your 30 seconds, you could be really put off. So it might be like, who are you? Where are you calling from? What are you trying to sell me? Where did you get my number? I'm at work at the moment, why are you calling me? All of these things. And yeah, some of the brilliant ones, like obviously we've trained this team now, so they're starting to play with these, they go, where did you get my number? And they've got their own ledge where they say, well, it is a work-related sales call. I'm not trying to sell you croissants. That is a pattern interrupted itself. What? Well, go on then. But a ledge. So when I'm a new SDR or someone working in sales and I'm gonna say it and you're gonna hit me with something straight away. You can hang up and let me have my 30 seconds, Zach.
Well, depends what you're selling.
Okay. So there's no permission. Permission denied. all of a sudden the anxiety might be rushing through my body. My face is going a bit pink. I can feel the blood kind of circulating. I'm starting to feel really nervous. And when I go to say, what did you say again? I've already forgotten that's how nervous I was.
Really?
Yeah.
I said, depends what you're selling.
Depends what I'm selling. Well, if I told you what I was selling was a win, and then someone else is on the other end of the phone, and it's like, what? Like,
I'm all right,
I've lost them.
thanks, mate.
Yeah, exactly. So you've got to be confident. You've got to hit them with something straight away. So having a ledge, something that you can go to, and you can say, when you go for a left, I know that I've already got a blocker up. Do you know what I mean?
Beautiful.
You say, where are you calling from? I go, well, look, let me have my 30 seconds. If by the end it's a complete waste of your time, we can leave it there. Is that fair? That is something that's already on the tip of my tongue. So no matter what you say, I'm ready to hit you with it. So I know that and then in that time when I'm saying that, because that's a reflex muscle that I've been training for years, I know that then when you say, go on then, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I'm ready. And the blood has left my face and I'm calm, collected, cool, and I'm ready to hit him again.
Where's the blood gone?
Why do you always hit me with the difficult questions?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great, and it's, well, where are you calling from, what are you selling, whatever it may be. Well, look, I'll sum it up in 30 seconds. If you're not interested, I'll never bother you again. Does that sound fair? Well, yeah, go on then.
Break it down. Does that sound fair? So, the Wolf of Wall Street, he'll lean in, he'll go, sound fair enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So, the psychology behind does that sound fair, is that fair, is really brilliant. So, talk me through that.
Well, I'll ask you a question around this, right? So, because I think we've all done it. When you were little and it felt like you weren't allowed those sweets after tea, what came out of your mouth?
Broccoli.
No.
Sorry. That's not fair.
That's not fair.
Life's so unfair.
Kids say it all the time, right? And adults, you don't just suddenly not a child. That's not suddenly just not in you. You go through life looking for fairness, and it's within most of us when things feel unfair to have quite a emotional response about it.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, most reasonable people will want to treat others fairly because they also want to be treated fairly themselves. But it's really rooted in that early childhood bit of, well, that's not fair. I wanted to play with that. You know what I mean? And so when you hit that and you say, does that sound fair? Most responses are go, yeah, that's fair. You know, I've got 30 seconds, hit me.
Yeah.
And we've made there's some rules of engagement there. It's reasonable. I'll give you my 30 seconds. You're not interested. I just won't bother you again.
Yeah.
But you've just given me 30 seconds. That's all I'm taking. Is that fair? Yeah. Cool.
It's the same when you see all these big email cadences and people just reply, I'm not interested. It's like, cool. My job as a salesperson is to keep going until you just say no. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not interested. Cool. And then that's where the shitty salespeople come in, the ones that just keep on. Why? What do you mean, why? Keep bombarding you. Someone's not interested. Disqualified. Cool. Don't waste your time. I hear some of the team, well, what can I do to convince this person in this scenario? You can't convince anyone to do whatever. Sometimes it's just time to accept that that's dead and move on.
Yeah, exactly. Persuasion is a really funny one. I've been doing a lot of reading about persuasion at the minute. There's almost impossible to persuade anyone to do anything. But it gets even harder when it's a stranger. When you don't. I might be able to persuade you to do something, but
Don't wink a bit like that.
But it would be leaning on our friendship.
Yeah.
With a stranger, you've got nothing.
Nothing.
There's nothing to lean on. So, yeah, it's a really, really good point. So that's the ledge.
That's the ledge.
So,
and I think like when it probably leans into the ledge, but when you're being asked questions all the time, it's like knowing that you don't talk about the psychology of when you're a child. When someone asks you a question, you're told to kind of answer it, and you feel
answer
like
him then.
Yeah, go on then.
Answer him.
Put your hand up. Answer him.
He's talking to you.
So we feel kind of pressured to answer questions. So when someone says, "Well, is it a CRM that connects with the blue dot or the red dot?" You then most salespeople launch into a monologue about blue dots, red dots, CRMs, and life as a whole. Whereas really, when it comes to answering questions, you don't want to give too much away, but also why that question exists for a reason. So the way that people present themselves, they might have asked that question, but what are they really asking? So you really want to get to the root cause of why they've asked that question, because they're trying to suss something out. Typically in a situation like that, I might go, Zach, you know what, that is a bloody brilliant question. Best question I've had today. Is there a particular reason you've asked me that?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you go, yeah, because we can only connect with a pink dot. Whereas if I said, yeah, we connect with a blue dot, well, then I might have lost something or you might have ruined it. So you've got to be very, very careful when answering questions.
Yeah. Where are you based? Bournemouth. I only work with companies in London.
Yeah.
Fuck. Shouldn't have answered that. Who else do you work with that's like us? You'll assume what like us means and start naming a load of companies and they go, they're far too big compared to us. We only work. I was looking for small companies that you work with.
How much does it cost? Oh, it's £500 a day. Oh, right, no, I actually meant, well, what is cost?
Yeah.
No, I meant how much time do I have to put in?
Clarity is king on all those calls, and you want to approach things with that kind of childlike curiosity. Like, what do you mean? Why does that work? Why? What do you mean? And there's a way to obviously frame it. And the thing is, I think, with around those questions of pushing them back, you can sound avoidant if you've done them wrong. So, like, ask me one.
What success have you had for other companies?
It's a good question. I think I probably want to know the same thing. Just so I can answer that better for you. When you say other companies, what do you mean? Yeah. But if I just like bit your head off and like, what do you mean? Other companies, what do you mean? Which I hear when we've got like new salespeople or you're training some salespeople. It gets a bit like that. Yeah. It gets a bit hot quickly and then they're pushing back on you. But just the softness of that's a good question. I think I'd probably want to know the same thing if I was in your shoes. What is there a reason you've asked me that, or when you said that, what did you mean? Just looking to really clarify why you've been asked that question before you get there.
Clarity and active listening, two of the biggest takeaways when working in sales. You've got to understand why someone's asking it and really understand everything that they're saying.
Yeah. A guy said to me the other day, it was like a bespoke deal. Could you do this for me? And I could have said, yeah. And then away he goes, right? And who knows, that might have become nothing. And I said, might be able to. I have got other directors in the business. If I can do that, are you telling me that right now you're going to say yes and away we go, you give me the green light? He said, no, I've got to go away and ask some people on my end as well. Right, what makes sense? Which one makes sense to do first, do you think? He's like, well, I'll go away and ask the question and see if I can get them to agree. And then I'll come back to you and you can speak to your other directors and try and get it over the line that way. Fine. If I just said yeah, I'd have lost all that. I wouldn't have known the inner workings of that question.
You want to know the next steps.